Clay Wong, and today we're driving a 2003 Holden V8 Commodore SS. But wait, it's not just an SS. This car has a turbocharger smacked onto it, and it is absolutely ballistic. Listen to that sound. This car makes 436 kilowatts on 98 octane fuel. Now here in Australia, the Holden Commodore is pretty much your run-of-the-mill economy car. They use them for taxis and for pretty much your average Joe. Everybody has one, if not a Ford Falcon. It's your equivalent to like a Toyota Camry out here. The Holden Commodore came in many different variants, and then you had the HSV variants at the very top. Now this being an SS, it sported the LS1 V8 that came factory on these cars, and they were a very potent motor that made 245 kilowatts at the engine. It was a responsive motor that had it all for daily driving. The SS V8 Holden Commodore was a fantastic vehicle. I think the motor itself from the factory was a very capable unit, but you really needed to wring its neck out to extract all that power out of the vehicle. But now with the BorgWarner S366 at the heart of this car, it really transforms the vehicle into something a little bit more fun, dangerous, and edgy. It's quite scary to drive on the road when you're on it. You really got to be aware of your surroundings and what you're doing with this vehicle, because very easily this car can just kick out and lose itself. The response is right there at 3,500 RPM. You hear that external weight. It's so much fun. It wants to drift, it wants to do burnouts all day long. It's a car that you can get into and enjoy yourself every single time you're behind the wheel of it. On the other side of the coin, this car still retains those fantastic daily driver aspects about it. But when you find a bit of road that just opens up, it's just so much fun. You hear that wastegate scream when you're on boost, and it sounds ballistic. It makes 16 pounds of boost to get the 436 kilowatts of power on 98 octane fuel. That's immense. Second gear, the boost comes in at about 3.5, and you're gone. With the turbocharger, you really need to work to get all that power out of this car. It's not like the HSV LSA that delivers the torque instantaneously with the supercharger. This car requires you to put in that effort, and once you get up high in the revs, the power just gets unleashed. But you gotta hold tight, because this car can definitely step out. It can send you flying off into the trees if you're not careful. This car requires you to respect the vehicle that it is, and it's so much fun when you get that right. It's such a potent machine, and I can't believe a turbocharged LS is this good, because honestly they should have all come out with turbos on these LS motors. The sound of the vehicle is just so good, and from the outside this car is truly the ultimate Holden Commodore sleeper. It's got V8 GTS wheels, but it pretty much looks factory for the SS. It looks so good in this green colorway. Everything about this car screams Commodore, and you wouldn't pick it to have a turbocharger unless you look at the front and you see that sneaking intercooler just chilling there. You gotta remember also that this car is nearly 20 years old now, and it's really held up to the test of time. The car now has 323,000 Ks on the clock, and that's a whole lot. It's still riding on stock suspension, and it drives sublime. It's a very comfortable car, and when you're putting down the power, it's quite capable in that sense as well. I'm quite surprised. There is a substantial amount of feedback through the steering wheel, and it still retains its comfortable features of the Holden Commodore that you know and love. It's a four-door sedan, and it's a very spacious one. You can chuck it over in 6th gear and just cruise in this vehicle, and you kind of forget that it's got a turbocharger plugged onto it. So in addition to the turbocharger upgrade, this car also has APR bolts throughout the entire motor. It's got a cam kit upgrade. It's got a full 4-inch exhaust throughout the entire vehicle. It's also got an oil pump, LS1 cam push rod lifters, as well as valve springs, retainers, and at the front of this car you'll see a massive front mount intercooler. There are a whole lot of sensations when you're driving this car, and despite it having the stock standard Holden Commodore interior, it's a simple design that just gets the job done so well. All in all, the interior is a nice place to be in. The seats are comfortable, there's feedback through the steering wheel, there's gauges around the cluster as well, which tells you your voltage, your oil pressure, as well as a boost gauge, and that shows you the boost pressures that you're pushing out of this engine. I think it's a very clean design, and for daily driving, it doesn't get better than this. The owner has also fitted a double DIN unit onto this car so that you can have navigation, a rear view camera, just to make it that much more friendly when you're driving out here. These cars are very common all throughout Australia. You can pick up one of these V8 LS1 V8s for about $15,000. It's a lot of car for the money. The Holden Commodore is really just such an Australian icon. This build really shows how diverse this platform is. You could have it in naturally aspirated form, supercharged, or like this car that I'm driving out here, turbocharged as well. I've driven all three, but this car really just keeps me on my toes. And it's just quite a scary vehicle to drive. Every single car serves its own purpose, and I really like that about it. A huge shout out goes to the owner, Josh from V8 Motorsport, for letting me drive his pride and joy. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. In the comments below, tell me what you like about this turbo Holden Commodore. As well as that, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now, take care.